Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to your practice this evening. Gonna have to adjust the blinds. I didn't think this through. The sun's trying to do things. Um, so welcome. I'm glad that you all are here to find a little movement today with me. So I don't know about the rest of you, but this has just been like a very low energy Monday moment for me today. So, class is definitely kind of geared towards not doing all of the things. We're gonna move. We're gonna get the blood pumping, if you will, but we're also just gonna kind of honor the maybe meh Monday feelings or the low energy Monday feelings. If you're also there with me, I think this weather shift is also part of that. So, as always with these classes, just honoring where you're at and what you're needing. So, if you were just really needing to just grab that blanket early and lay down and chill out, that's there for you. If you're wanting more movement or challenge than what I'm offering you, feel free to add on or modify as you need, but just making sure that this next little chunk of time, you're doing exactly what you need to kind of ease into your week and ease into the rest of your Monday evening, whatever that holds. So if you didn't see in the chat, you are going to want to have a blanket for the end of class. Teaser, we're going to just burrito shavasana tonight. So I'll just keep chatting while you grab that. And then if you have blocks or block-like objects, I suggest having them as an option. You don't need them, but they're a good option for one of the poses we'll get into towards the end of class this evening. So make sure that you have everything that you need nearby. If you any point you have issues with sound, just throw it in the chat so that I can see that and we'll make adjustments. If for any point connection goes away, just head back to our main page and you'll be able to find the stream there as well. So tonight we're going to get started in a comfortable seat. I decided to start seated tonight just because I am a low energy human. So I thought if we all laid down, we might not get back up. So we're going to start seated. So just coming to a nice comfortable seat, maybe putting something underneath the hips if you need a little lift for the hips to be comfortable. And then hands are just going to come down to the knees. And then just starting to let the eyes close or gaze drift to the floor. And you have a couple options for the hands. So if you're wanting to feel really grounded, stable, palms will be facing down. If you're wanting to kind of feel a little bit more open to this practice, face those palms up. If you're not really sure where you're at or what you're feeling tonight, you can do one of each. So just taking some time to kind of settle into what you're needing from this practice, where you're at mentally, physically, and just start to settle in here. And as with all of our practices, just starting with that space and place of awareness, checking in with the body, seeing how things are feeling, maybe recognizing areas that are feeling cranky or stuck, just making a mental note of that. And then bringing that same awareness to the mind as well. Recognizing the thoughts or the tasks or to-do lists that have been floating around your brain today. Just seeing what things you can maybe set down or set aside for this next little bit. Maybe recognizing the things that you've been carrying around that maybe you can set down and just not pick back up at the end of class. And then just starting to settle into that nice, easy rhythm of breath here. Inhale, filling up the belly with air, creating space. Exhale, letting that air out. Just taking some time to settle into this rhythm, settle into this breath that creates a little bit of energy, gets things moving and pumping, but also has that sense of ease. Just spending some time here in this stillness, in the quiet. We're going to breathe here for a couple more breaths, taking a moment to settle in on an intention or a focus for your practice. Tonight, I just invite you to maybe set aside the judgment or the standard that you might hold for yourself as you come to your mat or as you come to any of the work or life or tasks or things that might lay ahead of you. And just see if you can set aside those feelings or kind of items that might weigh a little heavy that you might feel like you need to push yourself to achieve or conquer or get done. And just really letting all of that kind of fade or melt away so you can be very present in your body, in this breath, in your mind. Just allowing those feelings or sensations that maybe aren't the most productive or happy or otherwise, but are still valid, still important feelings to feel. If that's where you're at. Just giving yourself space for that this evening. We'll take one more big full breath here. With our next inhale, starting to blink those eyes open. Nice big reach, arms out to the side, up to the sky, pressing the palms together, hands down into the heart. We're going to move through that a couple times here. Inhale finds that nice big reach. Exhale, hands down into the heart. Once more, just like that. Inhale to reach. Exhale, hands to heart. And we're just going to bring hands right back down to the knees here, starting to find a little movement through our cat cow in this seated shape. So inhale, you can press gently into the knees, heart lifts, heart puffs forward, head lifts. Exhale, starts to find that roundness in the back, chin tucks down towards the chest as you find that cat shape. So we're going to move here a couple times. Inhale finds that lift. Exhale, rounding the back, letting it go. We're going to move through these shapes for a few rounds here. Maybe you add a little bit of a torso roll in as you find that cat shape and that cow shape. Maybe you keep it nice and basic. Inhaling to find that lift and stretch forward. Exhale to find that cat shape back. If you've settled into those torso rolls, maybe just flip it and reverse it and go the other direction. Wherever you're at, just one more round of that cat-cow shape here. We're going to settle right back into that nice neutral spine, nice tall seat. Inhale, reaches those arms out and up. We're going to start to twist towards the left knee. Hands are going to drop down. Settling into this twist here, keeping that spine tall, not putting a whole lot of weight into that back hand, just using it kind of as a little kickstand or prop for the body here. Next inhale, reaches those hands right back up. Twisting to the right. Settling in for a couple breaths. Next inhale, we're going to reach right back up. So we're going to find this twist with just like a little bit more rapid movement. So exhale, twisting towards the left knee, hands drop down. Inhale takes the hands right back up. Exhale, twisting towards the opposite side. Inhale to reach. We're going to move through each side one more time. Exhale to find the twist. Inhale to reach it up. Last one. Just plant plant children here. Nice big reach. Hands to heart. We're going to make our way over into tabletop. So taking a moment to get set up, wrists below the shoulders, knees below the hips. We're going to take a couple rounds of our cat-cow here. So inhale, drops the belly, lifts the heart. Same motion we were doing before. Really feeling this shape through all of the body here. One more round into that cat shape. Settling back into your tabletop. We're going to find a little side to side movement in this table. So we're going to start to push the hips over towards the right as you look over that right shoulder. And then pushing the hips to the left, looking over that left shoulder. So we're going to move through this a couple times, side to side. Might have to think about it a little bit since we're scrunching up one side, lengthening through the other. Moving at a pace that makes sense to you. One more time to the right. One more time to the left. Settling back into that tabletop. We're going to start to press the hips back towards the heels, coming into your child's pose. And just taking a pause there, breathing in this shape, knowing that it's here for you anytime that you need it. Coming back up, finding table. Inhale, drops the belly, lifts the heart. And then we're going to tuck the toes, lifting the hips, down dog. And then dropping right back down to the knees. So we're going to move this little bit of flow a couple times. Rounding the back, pressing the hips back towards the heels. Coming up through that cow shape. Sending the hips up and back. Knees come back down, table. One more time, just like that. Finding that child's pose. Moving through table into cow. Sending the hips up and back, down dog. This time we're gonna settle in here, spending a couple breaths. Bending into the knees if that makes sense. Any little movements to warm up the body in this shape. Pressing the weight back into the heels. We're gonna start to walk the hands back towards the feet. Bending into the knees as much as you need to here. Coming all the way back into our forward fold. Letting everything hang out. Keeping that bend into the knees. And then nice and slowly, inch by inch, we're gonna roll all the way up. Coming all the way up to stand. Reaching up, hands to the sky. Exhale, hands, heart center. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Hands come to shins or tops of thighs, nice flat back, forward fold. Sorry, halfway lift. Now we're gonna fold. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll move through that one more time here. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Inhale, reaches up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale to reach. Finding our fold. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Putting a bend into the knees again. We're going to start to walk those hands forward, coming into that downward dog shape again. Inhale rolls forward into that plank. Knees are going to drop. Heart presses forward, elbows bend straight back as you lower. Untucking the toes. Big shrug of the shoulder, baby cobra. Rolling right back down. Pressing back through table. Tucking toes, lifting hips. Down dog. Bend into the knees, looking forward between the hands. We're going to take a little stroll, this time feet to hands, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll start to add on a little bit of movement here. Inhale, nice big reach. Hands can stay reaching up, or you can bring hands to heart center. We're going to start to bring that right knee up towards the chest. Taking a moment, finding that balance. And then we're going to start to step that foot all the way back, coming up onto the toes, reaching those hands up towards the sky. Settling in here, getting down into the feet. Inhale, straightens that front knee. Exhale to bend. 2 more times just like that. Inhale to lift. Exhale, bends the knee. Reaching up. Finding that bend. Hands are going to come to heart. We're going to start to shift that weight forward. We're bringing that back leg all the way forward, knee to the chest, and then foot to the ground. Inhale to reach. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Same option, hands can stay reaching or they can come to heart center. Shifting weight to that right foot, left knee comes up. Finding that pause, finding the balance. When you're ready, stepping it back, coming into that high lunge. And then just taking a moment to settle in here. Again, try not to get too far ahead of ourselves, keeping that sense of ease. We're going to find that little bit of lift and lower here. Inhale, straightens that front knee. Exhale to find the bend. 2 more times, just like that. Hands are going to come to heart. You know where we're headed, shifting that weight forward. Knees coming all the way up to the heart. And then foot to the ground. Inhale to reach. Hands come to heart. Just bringing hands down at our sides for a moment here. Palms facing forward. Spine is nice and tall. Maybe the eyes close or gaze can drift to the floor. Settling back into the breath. Back into the body. Letting go of any of those judgments or super intense goals you might be setting on yourself for this practice. Just giving them some space, letting them breathe. Blinking the eyes open if they're closed. Reaching up, hands to the sky. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Right foot's going to stay, left foot steps back. We're going to plant that back heel, coming on up, warrior one. Again, taking a moment to settle into the feet here, feeling nice and solid. Inhale, straightens that front knee. Exhale, bending the knee, bending the elbows, cactus arms. 2 more times, just like that. Inhale to lift. Exhale to bend. Once more. Reaching up. Bending the knee, bending the elbows. Knee's going to stay bent. Arms are going to reach up. And then we're just opening it up, warrior two. Taking a moment, again, getting the feet set. Settling into this warrior two shape. So front heel, back arch alignment. Legs are nice and strong. Making sure that knee is stacked over that front ankle. Arms are reaching nice and long. We're just going to do a quick little shoulder check, making sure shoulders are dropping away from the ears. Inhale's going to straighten that front knee. Arms reach up. Warrior two. One more time. Inhale to lift. Warrior two. Flipping that front palm, finding our reverse. Coming forward, forearm to thigh, extended side angle. Top arm can reach straight up. Maybe you reach it forward. Ooh. Coming back up, warrior two. Inhale finds that lift. Warrior two. One more time, reaching up. Warrior two. Flipping that front palm, finding our reverse. Forearm to thigh, extended side angle. Bringing it back, warrior two. Hands are going to come down around the foot. Taking your time, stepping it back, down dog. You have 5 breaths to your choice. If you want that vinyasa, it's there for you. If you need to find table or child's pose, that's also an option. Just choosing what you need, leaving what you don't. Finding the breath, finding that rhythm. From our down dog, if it makes sense, left foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward, planting that back heel. Oop, losing my microphone. Coming on up, warrior one. Settling in here again. Feeling that connection of feet to the floor. Feeling that power and strength in the legs here. We're going to inhale, straighten that front knee. Bending the knee, bending the elbows. Moving through this 2 more times. Inhale to lift. Bending the knee, cactus arms. Once more, reaching up. Finding that bend. Knee will stay bent, arms reach up. And then we're opening it up, warrior two. Again, taking some pause here. So settling into the feet, feeling nice and grounded. Arms are reaching nice and long. Shoulders are staying out of the ears. We're going to inhale and reach up. Warrior two. One more time, reaching up. Warrior two. Flipping that front palm, finding our reverse. Coming forward, forearm to thigh, extended side angle. Same options here. That top arm can reach straight up. Maybe you start to reach it forward. Coming back up, warrior two. Inhale to reach. Warrior two. One more time, reaching up. Warrior two. Flipping that front palm, finding our reverse. Letting go of any of those visions or ideas that you have about what this shape should look like for you and just being present in it. Forearm to thigh, extended side angle. Coming back up, warrior two. Hands come down around the foot, popping up onto those back toes. We're just going to step that back foot forward, forward fold. Putting a nice deep bend into the knees, maybe grabbing opposite elbows, letting everything hang out here. Letting the upper body be nice and loose. Maybe a little sway side to side. Letting the jaw release or relax. Head and neck are easy. We'll release those elbows. With our inhale, coming all the way up. Nice big reach. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reaches up. Hands are going to come to heart. Shifting weight into that right foot, left knee comes up. Pausing here, finding the balance. We're going to start to step that foot all the way back. Once you're there, planting that back heel, reaching up, warrior one. We're going to use the right hand to grab the left wrist. Keeping that bend in the front knee, we're going to start to reach up and over, finding that little bit of side stretch here. Finding that length through the left side body, that power in the legs. And then just gently bringing it back to center. Reaching the fingertips up. We're going to start to straighten that front knee. Hands can stay reaching up. You can also bring hands to the hips, pulling those elbows back a bit. And then we're going to start to find this fold or tilt forward. So that front knee can have a little bend for this to be comfortable. If you know that you want to just go all the way for this fold that's there for you, that feels like a lot, you can stay here. Feeling that length, that intention of moving forward as you find this stretch through the back side of the leg. Pressing into that front big toe. Wherever you're at, bending into that front knee, stacking that body, bringing it all the way back up, hands to the sky. Hands are going to come to heart, popping up onto those back toes. Sending that weight forward. We're stepping that foot all the way up, knee to the chest. Taking that foot out to the side. And then settling into your version of tree pose. So that can be kickstand, calf, or thigh. You choose what you need. Hands can stay at heart. Again, letting go of that judgment or intention of wanting to do all the big things. Maybe do a little less. Maybe you find your branches if that's something that makes sense. If you have those branches, just bringing them right back down, hands to heart. Bringing that knee back up. And then foot to the ground. Taking a moment, maybe the hands just settle over the heart. Maybe they come down at your sides. Settling back into the breath, back into the stillness. Inhale reaches those hands up towards the sky. Hands to heart. Shifting weight to that left foot, right knee comes up. When you're ready, stepping it back. We're going to plant that back heel. Reaching up, warrior one. Using that left hand to grab the right wrist, we're going to start to reach up and over towards the left, finding that nice big side body stretch. Feeling the power in the legs, planting firmly through the feet. Bringing it back to center. Reaching up. We're going to start to straighten that front knee. You know where we're headed. Maybe you just find that fold all the way forward, letting the hands come down. You can use your blocks here if that makes sense. Or if you want to do a little bit less, hands come to the hips and just find that long reach forward through the crown of the head. We're going to breathe here for 2 more breaths. If you're folded or with that tilt, bending into that front knee, coming all the way back up. Hands are going to come to heart, popping up onto those back right toes, sending that momentum forward. We're stepping that right foot all the way up, knee to the chest, and then taking it out to the side, kickstand, calf or thigh, tree pose. And again, just taking some time to settle here. We're going to breathe in this shape for a few breaths. Can you let go of that kind of inner self talk that's telling you it needs to look or feel a certain way? Just be present in the shape, meeting the most immediate needs, and letting everything else just fade away a bit. If you've grown your branches, just bringing hands back to heart center, bringing that knee back up to center, foot to the ground. Settling back into stillness, reconnecting with the breath. Blinking the eyes open. Inhale finds that nice big reach. Folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Folding forward. Left foot stays, right foot steps back, planting that back heel. Coming on up, warrior one. Settling in for a breath here. And then we're going to open it up, warrior two. Taking a moment to get set, checking in with the shoulders, checking in with the feet. Inhale, straightens that front knee as we reach. Warrior two. One more time, reaching up. Warrior two. We're going to find that lift again, keeping that front knee straight. Arms are going to come back down to that parallel space. We're going to start to reach those left fingertips forward, forward, forward. And then maybe you drop down into that triangle shape. That top arm can always come to the hip to give that shoulder a little extra space, a little rest. One more breath here. Maybe pulling that top shoulder back in space any amount more. Bending to that front knee, coming back up, warrior two. Finding our reverse. Coming forward, forearm to thigh, extended side angle. Bringing it back, warrior two. Hands are going to come to heart. We're just going to turn all those toes to face the right edge of your mat, and then just angling them out about 45 degrees. So hands can stay at heart center. You can also bring hands to the hips. That feels better. We're going to start to sit down into our goddess or horse pose, whatever you're feeling tonight. We won't be here for too long. Feeling that even distribution of weight. So we tend to kind of roll into the big toe side of the foot, but can you press those knees towards the pinky edge of the foot, finding that nice long line from hip down through the knee. Spine is nice and tall. Tailbone is drawing down. And then slower than you want to, we're going to start to straighten those legs. coming all the way up. We're just gonna turn those right toes to face the back edge of your mat and then angle in that back foot as we start to settle into our warrior two, other side. Settling in here for a moment, checking in with those shoulders. Inhale, finds that lift. Warrior two. One more time, reaching up. Warrior two. We're gonna find that lift and lengthen, straightening that front knee. Front knee stays straight, arms come back down. Reaching those right fingertips towards that back edge of your mat, dropping it on in, finding that triangle pose. Same options, that top arm can stay reaching up or hand can come to the hip. You choose what you need. Last big breath here, maybe pulling that top arm and shoulder back in space, any amount more. Bending to that front knee, coming back up, warrior two. Finding our reverse. Coming forward, forearm to thigh, extended side angle. Bringing it back, warrior two. Hands are going to come to heart again, turning those toes. We're going to angle them out once more. Same options. Hands can be at heart. You can bring hands to your waist. When you're ready, we're going to start to sit down into this shape any amount. And again, just kind of checking back in with all those things. Can you push the knees towards the pinky edge of the feet? Can you find that length through the inner parts of the thighs? Tailbones dropping down. Spine is tall. Maybe you sit just a tiny bit deeper. Slower than you want to. We're coming all the way up. I don't know about the rest of you. It's probably the most work that I've done today with my body. Nice big reach of those arms up towards the sky. And then we're going to start to settle back into that warrior two facing the front of your mat. Hands are going to come down around the foot, popping up onto those back toes. We're just stepping it back. Down dog. Option to move through that vinyasa if you want it. Maybe you drop down into table or child's pose. Finding the movement or stillness that you need in the moment. We're all going to drop the knees, taking them nice and wide, pressing the hips all the way back. Settling into that child's pose shape. Taking a couple of nice big belly breaths here. Settling back into that rhythm. We have one more little active round of poses, and then we're gonna settle in for some chill. From that child's pose, just pressing the hands towards the body, sitting back on the heels, coming into kind of a hero's pose or seat. So we're coming into a deep hip stretch option, which is what you're going to want your blocks for. So just making sure that they're handy at the top of your mat as we get into this. And then, as always, just giving yourself some extra space. If you're like, no, Jamie, no hips for me tonight, just easing out, maybe doing a little bit less if you know that's what you need. So we're gonna come back into our table, send those hips up and back, settling into that down dog shape. If it makes sense, the left foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward. And we're gonna walk the hands to the inside of that foot and just start to bring that right knee down to the mat. This is where your blocks will come in handy. So maybe you grab them, just bringing them to the inside of the foot. You can walk that left foot towards the outer edge of your mat a little bit further, if that makes sense. So blocks are here to kind of bring the floor to you, since we are settling into this kind of deep hip stretch lizard pose option. So blocks are here. You can choose the height that you need to kind of give that hip a little extra space. If you know that you don't want to use the blocks, hands can stay planted. And we're all going to start with this back knee down. So just kind of feeling out how that left hip feels, feeling the pelvis pressing down towards the floor. If this feels really sticky or catchy in the hip, you can always turn those left toes out about 45 degrees. That's an option that creates a little extra space. So just taking some time to kind of see where you're at, how things are feeling. If you know that this is enough, you can stay where you're at here. We're going to breathe here for a few breaths. If you want a little bit more, you can also start to lift that back knee, settling into this lizard pose with that back leg extended. So really trying to drop the hips down. We don't want them to live super high up here. We want to try to level it out. So it's almost like you're in plank pose, but with this little bit of hip stretch. Finding those nice deep breaths here. If you have that back knee lifted, just gently bringing it back down to the mat. If those left toes are turned out, bringing them back to neutral. You have a couple options for getting out of this shape. If you want to step it back to your down dog, that's an option. If you were like, no thanks, you can bring it back to table, maybe press it back to child's pose for a couple breaths. Maybe you move through your vinyasa. Maybe you just find a happy, still space and breathe. Wherever you're at, we're going to start to make our way into our down dog. From here, right foot reaches up and back, stepping it forward. We're going to bring that back knee down. Bringing the hands inside that right foot, maybe walking that foot out towards the outer edge of the mat. So again, you know where we're headed. You know all the options. Maybe you grab your blocks. Feeling out this side versus the first side. Things always feel a little different. And just starting with that back knee down. So kind of settling in, pressing the pelvis, the hips down towards the floor. Maybe you angle those toes out. And then if you want that extra bit of challenge, lifting that back knee, but keeping those hips pressing down to the mat. So again, not living up here, but really letting everything drop kind of into that plank shape. Wherever you're at, taking those nice full breaths. If you have that back knee lifted, just bringing it back down to the mat. Turning those right toes back to neutral if they're turned out. Moving those blocks if you're using them. Same options on this side. You can take it back to your down dog. You can just slide that leg back to table. We're all going to come to meet in that child's pose shape, whether you move through one last vinyasa here or you just settle on in. Hips are pressing back towards the heels. Maybe you stack the forearms for that little cushion for the forehead here. Settling in. Taking just a couple more breaths here. Maybe checking in with that focus or intention. Were you able to let some of that kind of judgment or desire to like do and be all the things in these poses, were you able to let that go just a little bit? Just being present. Pressing those hands back into the mat. Just going to walk the hands back towards the knees. Coming down to the bum. Bending the knees. We're making our way all the way down to our back. Before you head there, just make sure that you grab your blanket because you're going to want to need that very soon. If you want to reverse crunch your way down, that's an option, or just holding onto the backs of the thighs, lowering yourself all the way down. We're going to keep the knees bent once you're there. Feet are going to be planted about hip width distance. You want to scooch the heels in towards the bum. You have a couple options for the hands. So hands can be down at your sides, palms facing down, kind of locking the shoulders, shoulder blades up underneath the body. You can also find your little T-Rex or robot arms here. And if both of those just feel like a lot, you can also grab the edges of your mat with your hands, finding that same kind of tuck of the shoulders as an alternative option. So we're going to move through our bridge shape for a few breaths here. So if you know that you just want to get into bridge and breathe there, hold it, that's there for you. If you're wanting more of a fluid option, as you inhale, pressing into the feet, lifting the hips any amount, and then exhale would lower them right back down. So you have both options. Maybe you lift and hold. Maybe you lift and lower with the breath. We're going to breathe here 3 more rounds of breath, whether you're holding or finding that steady movement. And the next exhale, just lowering those hips all the way down. A little sway of the knees side to side once you're there. Bringing the knees back to neutral. We're going to hug the knees in towards the chest. Maybe you find a little movement side to side here. Maybe it's nice and still. And then keeping those knees hugged in, arms are going to come out into that T shape, or you can find that cactus arm shape. And then we're just going to drop the knees over towards the right. Settling into this twist. If you know this is just not your favorite way to twist, just giving yourself some time to find the version that works for you. Feeling that stretch and release through the side body. head, neck, and shoulders are easy, melting down into the mat. We're going to breathe here for a couple more breaths. Maybe you find any amount more of that release, that sense of letting go. And then when you're ready, bringing the knees back to center, taking a moment of pause there, settling back into that neutral space. And then when you're ready, taking those knees over to the left. Same thing here, finding that release, that sense of settling into the shape, that length through the right side body, melting of the shoulders down into the mat. Maybe using these last couple breaths here to find any little bit more of letting go, a little more melting of the body into the mat. Just gently bringing knees back to center. Taking a moment to hug them in towards the chest again. Maybe you pull the nose up towards the knees, creating a little tiny ball. And then just gently bringing the head back down. Feet come down to the mat. You're going to grab your blanket, and we're just creating a little burrito shavasana. So using that blanket to cover yourself all the way up. Maybe you even kind of tuck yourself in here, feeling nice and cozy, supported, comforted. Taking as much time as you need to kind of get settled into that little burrito shape. And then just gently letting yourself release and relax into your mat. Letting the breath start to ease into its own natural rhythm in the body. Maybe revisiting that little moment of awareness we had at the beginning of our practice. Checking back in with the body and the mind and those things that you needed to have a little extra care for, or maybe that you needed to set aside for your practice tonight. Just taking some moments to reflect on that. Were you able to create a supportive and kind of judgment-free zone for yourself this evening? Savoring these last few moments of stillness and quiet. Just gently starting to deepen the breath in the body. Maybe you start to bring your awareness back to the space. If you know that you need to be here in this stillness, in this little burrito blanket for a little while longer, just stay. Ignore everything else that I'm about to say. If you're ready to kind of move into the rest of your evening, whatever that might hold, just gently finding little movements in fingers and toes. Maybe putting a little bend into the knees, planting the feet. Gently, slowly making your way to either side. And then as you're ready, coming into a comfortable seat, eyes closed, hands at heart center. I want to thank you all so much for sharing space, some movement, and this practice with me this evening. The light within me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Awesome. As always, thank you all so much for being here, finding a little movement and community with me on a Monday. I definitely needed it. So hopefully it was exactly what you needed as well. Just a couple of quick announcements before we head off into our evenings. I'm going to scooch closer to the screen because I feel very far away from everyone. So as you know, with the counties moving back into risk categories, we've kind of scaled down on our in-persons. So we will be at outdoor locations only for the next little bit of time while the case counts are a little high. So keep an eye out for registrations. We had a couple open. We had Cubanisio open today at noon. And then we have a couple other classes coming up that are outdoors as well. So keep an eye out for that. We will be here Monday nights on the live stream for you at 6 p.m. And then you can always go back and watch any of the recordings if you're needing a little bit of movement in your week. If you feel like donating, we greatly appreciate it. The information for donations is in the description for class. And as always, just thank you all so much for being here and practicing with us and sharing this space. Even though it's via screens, it's what we need, and I hope it's what you need as well. So I'm just grateful that you all were here. Lakin, I'm so glad that you were here. Yay, Karen, I'm glad. I'm glad that was a good way to start the week. It's what I needed for sure. So awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Have a really lovely evening. Cheers.